So this is going to be a 6-month pay review for Estes Express lines, OTR, extra board line haul position. I've actually been here 8 months, but I wanted to do this review after 6 complete months to get an idea of what the money's like and how all the numbers are kind of adding up. I've been getting a lot of questions the last couple months about where I ended up and what I'm doing now and that kind of thing. And I've been hesitant to make this video because I wanted more information. Everything was going good, and it's still going good. I just didn't want to uh, comment on things that may not uh, be a reflection on the company. And everybody's experience with every company is going to be a little different. But so far, mine's been phenomenal, and I don't see myself going anywhere anytime soon or anything like that. So the brass tacks on this is currently, after 6 complete months, my gross was 56,246.29. So in a year, if I match it for the next 6 months, that's going to come out to 112,492.58. So the thing about that number is we've been really slow since, I want to say, the middle of March. They stopped letting us work extra days, due to freight volume, and there's a lot of stuff going on in the world, in the country, and stuff like that. So I think everybody knows that. But at the time of this video, for the year 2025, these are just the numbers that I've been getting, and like I said, we're pretty slow. So even being slow, I'm on pace to do easily over $110,000. So to me, that's a good sign that um, there's still money to be made in trucking. Now this is a line haul position, LTL, so it's not quite the same as long haul trucking or traditional OTR. But there's really not much I can say about the pay other than it's fairly consistent. So the net was 40,898.73. So after about a year, or in a year's time, the net should be very close to 82,000 for me. Now everybody's tax situation is going to be different, but that's just my current situation. I'm estimating that I'm gonna take home over $80,000 after this year is all said and done. So, like I said, with us being a little slow, to be honest, I fully expect to hit really close to 120,000, because I do work extra days when it's available and stuff like that. Um, not everybody does. Some people are cool working their 5 days, and to be honest, I've been kind of getting a little bit lazy since we've been a little slow, and I've kind of been okay with just working the 5 days. And but just working the 5 days, I want to say an average week for me is anywhere between 22 and $2,300 gross. And even hitting those numbers, like I said, I'm well on pace to hit over $110,000. So um, what more can you ask for, in my opinion, especially being home as much as we're home. I'm technically an OTR driver, but I spend at least 2 nights a week at home on top of the weekends. So you get Saturday, Sunday, because it's Monday through Friday. It's night driving, but I have the weekends off, and I'm typically home at least twice a week. So, and oftentimes more than that. This week, I'm here in a hotel in Albuquerque, New Mexico, waiting to get dispatched here shortly. Um, but most of the time, I'm coming in and out of Phoenix, that kind of thing. Every once in a while, I have a whole week away from home, but that's not a big deal. So, in order to hit this number or these kind of numbers, you might, be asking, what's the pay scale, that kind of thing. So you start on the extra board, and actually this is different too by region, but for the Southwest region, and I don't even know if they go by Southwest or anything like that, or re- region numbers, whatever. Long story short, I live in Phoenix, Arizona, run out of the Phoenix terminal, and the extra board position starts off at 81 and a quarter cents. On top of that, you get activity pay for building a set or breaking a set, which is 1075 each time. So that's the activity pay, and of course you get breakdown pay and stuff like that. Um, and when I've told people about the 81 cents to start, they almost don't believe it, and because that's high, that's a really high number. A lot of OTR companies are, even with years of experience, are kind of maxing out at 65 cents, maybe close to 70. So 81 cents to start somewhere, that's really good. And to be honest with you, and I think it was due because I hit over 6 months on the line haul side. I already got another cent raise, so I'm at 82 and a quarter cents currently. And I believe by end of the year, I think I'll get another raise possibly, and then of course we possibly have another cost of living increase. So that's a good, those are always good things. I'm not going to touch benefits because it's a large company. The benefits you can expect basically the same across the board: 401k, health benefits, stuff like that. So I'm not going to touch on that. What I do want to say is this job is easy, and I know some people, truckers in general, a lot of us think that oh, this job's really hard and whatever, and to be honest with you, it's not, but we do put in a lot of hours, so that's what makes the job kind of challenging. And but let's be honest, we in general, driving a truck is not hard, especially nowadays with it all being automatic and stuff like that. I was lucky enough to be one of the last couple of years where manuals were really in use. So I got to spend a couple of years on a manual. I've been trucking now for about 12 years. So I came in just as they were really pushing the automatics. So I still got a lot of time with a manual transmission, and I can drive both. And here too, we do have some older tractors still that are manual. Um, I don't have one of those because, in theory, I put in a lot of miles on the truck, so those trucks are already old. So I do have a newer truck, just under 200,000 miles. When it was assigned to me, I got it at, I don't know, about 140 or something like that. So uh, the company, I mean, there's not a lot of bad things I can say about these guys. You know, I just finished saying that I don't really work all that hard. You know, on my go out day, which is a Monday, I will call Central Dispatch, unless it's already been agreed to the week before that I'm going to cover maybe a local run where I go meet a driver and come back to Phoenix, or I go to California, or I go to Vegas and come back to Phoenix. When you're covering runs, that's different. So, that's not the same as Monday evening calling Central Dispatch and saying, hey, what do you guys got? Typically, we get three different responses. Oh, hey, we got something on you already. Which, what I'll do is I'll check the app, and it's not really an app. You just kind of go into the website, log in, and then you'll see our dashboard. What they call our dashboard will pop up, and if we're already dispatched to something, it'll show on there, and we accept it, and whatever tells us where we're going, what we're picking up, that kind of thing. If we're not already dispatched, then you call Central, and they say, hey, oh yeah, we're gonna put something on you right now, we're good to go. Or they say, hey, you know what, give us a little bit of time. The worst thing they can say is, you know what, we might not be able to move you, so call us back tomorrow. Again, we've been slow, and even being slow, I've only been canceled like maybe 4 times this year, which is nothing. It's an extra day off, which I don't like. Don't get me wrong, I prefer to work. I like the money. But as I already told you, I've still made good money. So that's how my week starts typically, and I can end up basically anywhere. Typically, I'll end up either like here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, or El Paso, Texas, or if I go to Vegas and then I go up to Cedar City, Utah, and go back down to Vegas, then I'll break in Vegas. Or I can go to Vegas and then somewhere in California, break there, or the other way around. And that's kind of how we do it. And then we start the next day the same thing. We call Central, see if we're dispatched already, and then we just go wherever we go. And I've been averaging about 2,500 miles a week, and that's when we're slow. And so when we're busy, I can hit 33, 34, just depending on where they're sending me and that kind of thing. The only thing that kind of sucks about a line haul position, at least for the Estes Express, or I just say Estes, but um, is that they won't let you break with freight. So basically, you have to go terminal to terminal, complete the run, and then go on break, which is in a hotel. We run day cabs. We do have team positions that have a sleeper, but that's a different situation, and I don't want to talk about that because I really don't know a whole lot about how they operate. Um, but the rest of us are using day cabs. So when we take our 10-hour break, it's going to be in a hotel. And we're not limited to 10 hours. If we need the extra time, maybe we need to get a little bit more sleep, 10, 11, 12, and nobody's going to tell us anything. We start when we start. Um, and that's how that is. So it's really laid back, and we don't typically deal with, or not typically, we just don't deal with the stuff that normal OTR drivers deal with. Truck stop parking, paying for showers, stuff like that. We just don't deal with that. When I finish a run, I've already made a reservation through CLC, and they'll find me a hotel, and I know where I'm going. So I use the tractor. I go into PC, and what I do is, if I got to go to Walmart real quick to get some supplies for the truck, which they don't pay for, it's our personal supplies, whether it's a case of water, maybe some snacks or something like that. I'll go to Walmart, or typically I'll go to a restaurant or something, get some food first before I go to the hotel. Go to the hotel, go off duty, take my break, and I'm typically right on 10 hours. So right about 9.5 hours, I start to see what I got on what I'm dispatched to, if I'm dispatched, and then I start my day, do it all over again. And I'm typically rolling before the 11th hour. So there's a lot of guys that run that way. There's a lot of guys that say, no, I start every day at 9 p.m. or 10 p.m., whatever they like. And so their breaks can be anywhere from 10, 12, 13 hours, whatever it is. So there's really nobody on you saying, hey, you got to get moving. Hey, you got to do this. It's really laid back. You're left to your own, as long as you get the freight there moving, and you're not ridiculously late or something where they got a priority load that they are expecting, then maybe you you pick it up a notch, but nobody's gonna call you and say, hey, why are you stopped again? You already took your 30-minute break. Well, I needed to use the restroom, I needed a cup of coffee. Nobody's gonna bother you. I've never ever been called and asking me what the deal is. So it's really laid back. Management is pretty good. To be honest with you, I don't hardly ever talk to them because I don't need to. I show up. My paperwork is typically already on the desk or table or whatever. I sign it out. If I don't want to talk, I don't talk, which I typically don't. And I go about my day. These guys, they don't, and this might be an issue for some, and I'll go ahead and throw it out there. I used to drive for Walmart, their private fleet. I spent a little over 3 years over there, and a lot of those guys probably wouldn't like it here because at Walmart they're constantly telling you how great you are. Oh, we appreciate you. Oh, this, oh, that. You're such a good guy. You whatever. And Estes is just not like that. You come, you do your work. You're paid well for it, and you go home. And to me, that's what it should be. And that's not to say that they don't appreciate us, because they do. And I've always said that I know a company appreciates me every Friday. And you can guess what I'm talking about. As long as my money is correct and paid direct deposit, I know they appreciate me. You don't need to pat me on the back and tell me how great I'm doing. And so I think there's a lot of guys that probably wouldn't enjoy working here because they just don't do that. You show up, you do your job, you go home, you get paid, and that's it. That's not to say that they won't talk to you. It's open door policy. Some guys do chat it up a little bit, but I think from what I can tell, the majority of the guys, they show up, they do their thing, they get out of here, they go home, and that's it. A lot of guys, are kind of to themselves. We do got some guys like to talk, and every once in a while I get roped in, and got to talk to one of these guys. I try not to be too rude. I usually just say, hey man, I'm kind of in a hurry to get out of here, and they get it for the most part. That being said, while I'm on this topic, um, I don't have to max out my clock to make what I've made. And what I mean by that is, my typical day is 12 hours or less. And occasionally, if I get a long run, like the Vegas run is long, but the what makes the Vegas run long, not only is it 604 paid miles, and I say paid miles because I'm pretty sure they're not actual miles. I'm not pretty sure. I'm sure it's not actual miles, because the actual mileage is like 309 or 310 one way or something like that. But it's not like ridiculous, like zip to zip, like some companies pay where you're missing 20 miles or something. It's not like that. But what makes that specific run long is that when you're at the Vegas terminal, you got to find your trailers. Sometimes they're buried. So you can kind of be wasting a lot of time that way. And that's what makes the day over 12 hours. So when I do the Vegas run, it's closer to 13. But when I do the Vegas run, that's also like a $540 day because of the mileage, the activity, and all that good stuff. And then I go home, because it's Phoenix to Vegas, Vegas to Phoenix. That puts me back home. So that's still a good day. But the point I'm trying to make is that you don't have to run a 14-hour clock. And bringing up Walmart again, to make really solid money over there, you're typically running your 14. And I still follow the pages for Walmart because I use it as a tool, for weather and traffic and stuff like that. And a lot of guys are posting stuff and just to let other drivers know what's going on. So I still follow them. And I try not to comment on their stuff too much because I'm no longer a Walmart driver. But a lot of those guys they're talking about ADP, average days pay, and what their number is, because Walmart average, that's how they pay your days off, which is really good, by the way. Estes only pays 8 hours at the current hourly rate, which is like 35.25. So you're sitting right around $300 for a paid day off. Unless it's a holiday, then you're at like 320 or 325, something like that. I don't remember exactly. But Walmart pays ADP. So the higher your ADP is, the better your vacation pay is. So, a lot of the guys like to sit right around $400 a day. And so when they take a week off, that's $2,000 a week, but they'll tell you, oh, you gotta utilize your whole clock, 13, 14 hours, a lot of them, they brag and they take pictures of their clock and they only got 5 minutes left or something, well, they're using a full 14-hour day. And we don't do that. We don't have to do that to make what we're making. And so, I'm not trying to bash Walmart. You can make money there. I enjoyed my time there, but it just ultimately wasn't for me. And especially with this type of job where I'm home more, and I'm not somebody who necessarily needs to be home a lot, but given the opportunity to be home more and still make as much or more money, it doesn't make sense to work for Walmart when you're basically gone the whole week, and then you're running 14 hours a day, and then you're constantly in safety meetings. That's something else they don't do here. They'll bring up safety every now and then, that hey, we're coming up on the summer, there's a lot of construction, just be aware. But it's really not something that they're really bothering you about. I set off that damn camera all the time. Now, we don't have an inward camera, we have the outward camera, which is what most companies have. And I've never even been bothered about that. And I'll be honest with you, sometimes I get a little aggravated on the road. Sometimes I get a little bit overly aggressive, and I've still never been called or asked about, hey, what was this about, or anything like that. So that's not to say that they don't take safety serious. They just, I don't know if the people in safety are former drivers or what the situation is, or they look at something and like, well, there's nothing you can do about that. We're not even going to bring it up, but it's just not something that where Walmart, every little thing that camera picks up, you're more than likely, hey, go see so and so in safety. Go see, hey, give us a call, like, and it's different, and so that's just one of the things that I like about this company is that they really do leave you alone, and if it's something that they know the answer to, they're not going to waste their time and ask you, hey driver, what were you thinking here, what was going on. They saw the footage. They're just not going to bother you if it's whatever. So I know this video is getting a little bit long, but I think there's still a couple things that I just wanted to touch on a little bit. Equipment is pretty good, at least for the line haul guys. The local guys that are paid hourly, those trucks are a little messed up. Some of them don't have radios. Actually, most of them don't have radios. They're older trucks, and it is what it is. The trailers are mostly pretty good. A lot of our shops are 24/7, so if you get a trailer real quick, you can pull up and say, hey, I need this tire replaced real quick. They'll do it within 15-20 minutes, and you're on your way, that kind of thing. And so that stuff's pretty easy. Requesting days off is fairly easy. It's paper. You fill it out, turn it into your supervisor, and they'll typically approve it by the next day, that kind of thing. What else? That may be kind of more or less what I wanted to touch on. It's just I've recorded this video a couple of times and I always forget something, so forgive me if I waste a few seconds here just trying to think. It's just like I said, I've made this video a couple of times and I always forget something, and I haven't been happy with the finished product. So the Phoenix terminal has one, two, three, four, I believe four different set runs that you can bid on, and it's all by seniority. So the longer you are here, that's kind of how they distribute. So for me, since I'm probably one of the lowest guys on the board, um, I'm gonna be extra bored for a while, and mainly because I don't want a bid run where I got to meet another driver. And I really don't want the California run because when we're slow, we have so many California drivers that those runs do get canceled a lot. Ultimately, what I want is a Vegas run because you do that 5 times a week, you're over 3,000 miles. The problem is that our most senior guys don't want to give those up. Why would you? Because, you don't got to work an extra day and you can get all those miles and be making bank, So that's kind of how the bids are distributed. I was offered something, a meet run with another driver, and I turned it down because I don't want to have to be worrying about gate time and stuff like that, and having another driver wait on me or me wait on them. So we have two of those type of runs, and I don't want them. So I'm probably going to be on the extra board a couple of years, and I don't mind that. I'm in my late 30s now, and so 10 years goes by, I'm cool with that. And eventually I'll have a set run, and I'll be living the life. I'll be honest with you, I feel like I'm living the life right now, making good money, and I'm home a lot more than the most I've ever been in trucking. And when I am gone, I'm in a decent hotel typically. There is some rough ones just because of the cities and that kind of thing. Like El Paso and Albuquerque do have some older kind of rundown places. So nothing new about that. So I think I'm going to go ahead and end this here, unless I can't recall off the top of my head anything else that I kind of wanted to bring up. We do not have a rider policy. They don't allow spouses or children to ride with you. So that's one more thing. And what else? That's probably one of the last. Obviously, no pets. So some of that can be a problem for some guys. Uniforms, they pay for uniforms. After 90 days, I think you get $150 allowance, and depending on how you spend it on what you spend it on, you can get maybe 7, 8, close to 10 shirts. I got this one because it's got the reflective and I don't got to wear a vest or anything. So this is why I like these ones. Um, so that's the uniform policy. They do want you wearing a steel toe, which I don't know that they enforce that too much because I see a lot of guys wearing like black Nikes and stuff like that. Um, and I think I'm gonna go that way too. These are a little heavy, but I don't mind the weight. I got used to them, but I'd still be more comfortable in some just basic tennis shoes. But so yeah, let's go ahead and end it there. And if I think of something, I'll just probably add it in the comments or something. Um, I do apologize for not showing the actual pay stub. It's just I'm no longer set up to do videos like I used to. I ran out of storage and it just so just take my word for it. I think I've showed you if you've seen my other videos in the past. I am not. It doesn't make me nervous or anything to show actual pay stubs. So hopefully I bought some credit with the viewers, and just take my word for it. These are the numbers. There's some other guys on here that used to make videos. I know one of them for a fact no longer works for Estes, and I'm not too sure about the other two guys. But so there will be some follow-up videos. But for now, I just want to get this out there. So thanks.